Bidzina Ivanishvilli, Georgia's newly elected Prime Minister. And with a fortune estimated to be around $6.5 billion, he's also the country's richest man. His Georgian Dream coalition won 50% of the vote on October 1st, compared to 41% for President Mikhail Saakashvili's ruling party. Saakashvili's term of office as president is due to end next year. Until then, he's expected to work alongside Ivanishvilli, who now controls parliament. Georgia has a similar population to Ireland. It has also endured periods of political unrest. Previously part of the Soviet Union, after its breakup in the early 1990s, the former Soviet Foreign Minister Eduard Shevardnadze was installed as president. He was ousted in 2003 following mass demonstrations over parliamentary elections, and Mikhail Saakashvili took over. Since then, the country has been building its relationship with the European Union, but relations with its northern neighbour Russia have often been quite strained, and escalated most notably in August 2008, when Georgia found itself in a 5-day war with Russia over the breakaway regions of Abkhazia and South Ossetia. So what will the arrival of the new Prime Minister Bidzina Ivanishvilli mean for the country, and was his election a surprise to voters in Georgia?
It wasn't a great surprise domestically. It definitely wasn't a great surprise domestically, because about 60% of Georgians voted for the change. So, and who voted for the change? So, absolute majority of urban area, including capital city of Tbilisi, voted for the change. In Tbilisi, the results were something like was in Ireland 80% for change, for example. And those people are intellectuals, professionals, middle class, even bureaucracy. In other words, who form the core of civic society in Georgia because they are more involved in political life. So the main thing, their main wave of protest was directed against the feeling that they accused the previous post-revolutionary, let's say, government in lack of rule of law, in failing of build the mechanism of check and balances, in hyper-concentration of power, in a less transparent use of funds, and violation of human rights, especially in jails. And they claimed that previous government mainly was occupied with skin-deep reforms, rather substantial reforms, with the type of style over substance, rather substance over style. So, in other words, it has nothing to do with international, our priorities, but mainly it was focused on domestic issues.
What about Bidzina Ivanishvilli, who is going to be the new Prime Minister? He has been described as the 153rd wealthiest man in the world. He has a fortune of $6.5 billion, most of which was gained in Russia. And a lot of people outside of Georgia are saying that this marks a change, that Georgia could go back to more of a Soviet-style era of the previous leader, Eduard Shevardnadze, back in the late 90s?
Well, very soon after the elections, Prime Minister designate Bidzina Ivanishvilli made a statement again saying that all foreign priorities remain the same, meaning our strategic partnership with the United States, our cooperation with NATO in terms of joining the NATO, and our EU aspirations. And he even declared that first his visit in capacity of Prime Minister would be not in neighboring Moscow but in Washington DC. Foreign Minister designate Maya Panjikidze, most probably, and it could be a surprise for your audience, her first visit in a capacity of minister could be in Dublin, in Ireland, because of EU ministerial, OSCE ministerial, which Dublin hosts in the beginning of December here. And both of them issued the clear statement, and I want also to use this chance and to underline that it could be my main message as well, that the foreign priorities and our movement against the issues which are high on our political agenda would be fulfilled and keep going. For example, with the EU, our EU aspirations, as you know, for starting from next year, Ireland is chairman in office of EU starting from January, so it's very important for our relationship, and I expect to be very busy due to it this period of time. That all projects which are ongoing at the moment with EU and within the frame of Eastern Partnership, it's association agreement between Georgia and EU. It's full and comprehensive free trade agreement with the EU. It's visa regime liberalization and visa facilitation agreement ongoing now with EU. All these projects will keep going without any delay.
So your aspirations for EU and NATO membership are still on track?
Absolutely, and it's our request to all EU countries and to Ireland as a future chairman to be engaged with negotiations immediately after cabinet will be formed, and it will be one of the first activities in that way to keep going with a project I mentioned in terms of free trade agreement, association agreement, visa liberalization agreement, etc. As for EU, as for NATO, the Georgian people expressed their will in a referendum, non-binding referendum held in January 2008 for joining the NATO. But unfortunately, after that, we failed either to get a membership action plan in April of Bucharest summit of 2008, and after that, unfortunately, instead of joining NATO, we received Russian troops occupying 1/3 of Georgian territories in breakaway regions of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, and Georgia was engaged in 5 days war against Russia, as you may remember. So unfortunately, instead of joining NATO at the moment, we have Russian troops occupying Georgian territories. And that is why our NATO aspirations is very sharp at the moment, and maybe even much more than ever before. And we really hope that NATO's door remains open for Georgia, and Georgia will make huge progress on that way as well.